So for our lovely Miss M, I know we were mentioning earlier about some of that anxiety and how to maybe help her out. Remember that there could be also some other venues. So pattern games are one of my favorite things for a lot of nervous or excitable boys and girls. So one of my favorite games is what's called the up-down game. So I will explain. So as she looks up, and let's say she's targeting my hands, I will put my hand behind my back when Miss M gives me eye contact. So right now she's got an itch. So right there, she gives me eyes. I'm going to go, yes, I'm going to feed the ground. So I'm going to just come a little closer so it's easier to see. So the whole point of this game is when Miss M, lovely shake off. So again, another way to reboot that anxiety sometimes or stressful situation. So if she goes and she gives you eye contact, the point of this game is the reason it's called up down is that when she gives you eyes and she looks up at you, you go yes and you feed the ground. So I'm just going to reorient so that way you can kind of see her a little bit better. So she gives me eyeballs, yes, and I feed the floor. So again, we're going to wait for those eyes to hit my face again, yes. So the benefit of the up-down game is it starts to get your puppy to reorient, chewing is optional, to reorient onto you, the handler, versus the environment. So again, she gives me eyes, yes. So I'm not asking for eye contact, she's offering it, and for doing so, she gets the benefit of the snack. So again, she gives me eye contact, I would go again, yes, but if let's say she goes and gets a little jumpy, this is again just a little bit with that anxiety. So if again we're doing some jumping, I might go into just a couple little find its to create movement away from the distraction. So right here, as she goes and locks eyes, yes. So another option other than the up-down game, which is a great pattern game, I did send along some resources on pattern games. I do highly recommend to check out some of the programs. So the Control Unleashed does have books and also DVDs, but it also has a really awesome Facebook group where you could then be participating and then also watching other people working their skills. So the up-down game is one game. The other one is called the ping pong game. So as Miss M looks at me, I'd go yes, and I'm going to toss the food. So it is kind of similar to what I've been doing, which is our find its. But when she locks eyes on me, then I go yes, and I toss the food. So the benefit of this game is when Miss M looks at me, I then toss the food. So right here, yes. So she has the chance to disengage from me, reorient from the environment back onto the handler, and then that's what she's being fed for. So again, I'm waiting for Miss M to lock eyes on me. Yes, and I toss the food. So if again she's looking more towards your tummy because your hands are there, you can always put your snacks behind your back. Let's say your puppy goes and gives you eye contact. So right now she just had a little itch, so she's going to scratch for a moment. So right here, right there, yes. So as Miss M locks eyes on me, I go ahead and mark it with the YES, and then I feed her for that behavior. So right here, I'm waiting for those eyes to hit me. Right there, yes. So the up-down game is, again, the same concept, but with no movement. So she would be in front of you roughly. Every time she looks up, you would go yes, and then feed the floor right in front of your feet. The ping pong game is, again, when she orients back to you, you would go ahead and let's say she finds your face, and she gives you those eyes, then I would go yes, and then toss the food so she can go to the left or the right, or sorry, left or right. So that way your babe has the chance to then practice bouncing back from the environment. So right now we're looking for those eyes to hit my face. Yes, and then we toss the food again. So this is a great way where if she tends to get so frazzled that there's no focus on you, then yes, then what I would highly recommend is remember you want to practice skills before you need them. So if you wait for company to come and that's when you practice your up-down game or you practice doing any other skill, yes, then what might happen is Miss M always thinks that these games either equal something past her abilities or comfort range, or that these skills are maybe unattainable because the environment gets so hard for her. So again, I'm waiting for those eyes to hit me again. When she finds my face, I'm going to go ahead and mark it right there, yes, and I'm going to toss the food. So again, it's helping her re-associate back to me. So as she's practicing, this is one of my favorites, is again those up-down games or the ping pong game. Another great game is the 1, 2, 3 pattern game. So this one, and I'm just going to do some find its just while I'm blabbing so Miss M is not just stuck on me the whole time and she can do some wiggling. So the 1, 2, 3 pattern game is a really great option for getting your babe to re-hone in on you when later there might be a distraction. So this could be 1, 2, 3. Some people do do, re, mi, or ABC. The main goal is you just want to have 3 things that you'll be saying. You want to, in the beginning, feed on the third one. So what I mean by that is if we're doing number 3 as our third little rep, where always equals food, I want to, in the beginning, while the puppy is comfortable, not overwhelmed, and in a comfortable bubble mentally and physically, is go 3 and then yes and feed. 3 and then yes to feed. So again, so that way the number at the end, yes, nice job. So that was my bad. So again, 3 and then yes to feed. So when she's practicing, the number 3 is when she's getting reinforcements. Right now, it's starting right here. So 3 and then yes to feed. She's in front of me. We're not adding tons of distractions. We're doing this in a very sort of easier setup. Obviously, coming to the doggy day school is new for her. So it's not as comfortable as home and with you guys, obviously, out and about. So as we're doing that, again, the third number, 3, and feeding, we're now going to do 1, 2, 3, and feed. 1, 2, 3, and feed. 1, 2, 3, and feed. So now, as we're doing this, this can also be great for honing in on you for loose leash walking, but it can also be really great, like let's say she gets distracted, there's a squirrel, there's some other, maybe your neighbor's out. You could all of a sudden start counting, and then on the third one, or even before that, she might come back into your bubble. So I would go 1, 2, 3, and feed the lovely lady. Again, 1, 2, 3, and feed her. Again, we're just going to add some movement. 1, 2, 3, and feed the lovely girl. Nice job. So again, we're moving. 1, 2, 3, and I feed. So I'm making this very easy on her, where again, it's very consistent. 1, 2, 3. And the benefit of pattern games for any dog is that no matter the environment and how much it changes or gets more difficult or more distracting, pattern games stay the same. So the benefit for a lot of dogs is as the world becomes overwhelming or too enticing and distracting, this can be really great for dogs that have a hard time regulating those big feelings, be it anxiety to overwhelm to overexuberance, and then even sometimes, running into aggression because they're feeling so flustered. So the benefit of this pattern game is, let's say, for example, I know she's honed in on me now. We could go 1, 2, 3, and feed. So you'll see that right now, I'm keeping it really easy peasy. We might then on purpose maybe go and have a little distraction. So I'm going to send her away for the distraction. Typically, I would wait for her to find something in the environment and get lost, and then go 1, 2, 3, yes, and then feed for that lovely response. So the 3 is not replacing a recall. It's not replacing like loose leash walking if you have a slogan for it for later. But the benefit of the pattern game is that later, as things become more flustering or more exciting, 1, 2, 3, this can then be brought out and might help your puppy come back. So I know there are several videos that I had attached in some of the resources, and one of the Word documents, it says pattern games, and the other one is other video resources. So I know there's these videos that we're making with your babes, but then there's also some other wonderful trainers and other resources that I highly recommend checking out because the materials are right there at your fingertips, and it might be, again, another scenario with a dog that is working in different venues, so you can see how to apply it even more so in different zones. So, but the main goal in the beginning is to make it attainable in those more comfortable bubbles. Oh my goodness, chewing is hard. Make it more comfortable in the home front. So remember, that's your classroom setting. So 1, 2, 3. And if we weren't getting this type of response, you'd want to make sure that you're doing it soft enough where your babe understands the concept. So again, you might be again stationary, 1, 2, 3, and we feed. 1, 2, 3, and we feed. So then if, let's say, there was a distraction, you start counting, it would hopefully get your lovely to check back in. So again, we're just going to meander. 1, 2, 3, and feed. Nice job. So again, she's like, hold on, lady, that was a nice big chunk. She had to think about how to get that bad boy in there. So 1, 2, 3, and feed. So remember that a lot of these pattern games are trying to create confidence and comfort in a dog that finds novelty or certain things in the environment stressful. This could also be that overexuberance, like we mentioned, where some dogs just can't wait to be part of the group, but then the way they go about doing it is just a little too extreme. So we may find for our lovely Miss M is sometimes these pattern games. So again, we're going to do the up and down game again. So I'm waiting for those eyes to hit me. Yes. And I feed the floor. So if, again, any of these don't make sense to you or to her, do feel free to check in. But I would highly recommend to check out some of the Control Unleashed resources as well, and some of those videos. So again, I'm just waiting for those eyes to hit me. Yes, and I'm feeding the floor. And this is, again, just that up-down game. So then we might go from up-down, and we might instead now do the ping pong game once Miss M chews her little snack. So right here, what I'm waiting for Miss M to do, eyes right there, yes, and I feed the ground. So as Miss M hones in her eyeballs on my face, that's what gives her the bonus bit. So again, she's looking at the pouch, which is a great, nice. So right there, she goes and looks at me. I feed her for that. So if sometimes she gets distracted by something on you, just again, no big deal. Just ignore that moment and wait for her to check in with you. Yes. And then I'm going to do again that little food off to the side for the ping pong version. Yes. But you can see how it's making a lot of sense for her, and she's honing in even off in her loose lead. You know, she's off of her gear, and she's still honing in on me. So right here, we're just waiting for those eyes to hit me again. A little distracted with the floor, yes, and into that lovely ping pong with the food. So I would definitely take a peek-see over the pattern games for her. You may find them immensely helpful to practice before you need them, but also then to start implementing it maybe as your spouse comes home, maybe as your daughter comes over, and you work these skills off in the distance. So remember that if something is hard for your babe, the closer they are to the thing, the harder it is. So if, let's say in the beginning, your dog needs to be in the other room as someone comes in, that might be easier for her than to be in the kitchen as the thing is entering the space. Because for a lot of dogs, the bigger the bubble between them and the thing, the easier it is for them to practice the behavior you'd rather, or to avoid the skill you weren't looking for them to master and get good at. Nice job, Miss M. Ready? Millie? Yes. So Miss M does get into a really good groove as she's participating and practicing, but I know at times that anxiety does get in the best of her at times. So she's still having a good time enjoying her buffet, but we want to make sure that she could be the best she can be, and sometimes that might be with some help. This does not mean that medication is going to be the thing that she's on forever. We may find that sometimes, just like with us, if you're having a really hard time during your life and you need medication paired with therapy, and then you start to come up with coping mechanisms that are healthy and a better alternative to the way you were dealing with stress or certain things, then you might find, you know what, you can wean yourself off of the medication if it wasn't a chemical imbalance, or something that you just need to help you be successful for your own, setup. So for some dogs, we might do, like, again, a year's worth of medication paired with some skills and some behavior instead that we'd rather. And then all of a sudden the babes have really started to figure out, you know what, I'm comfortable, I'm feeling safe, I can do this instead. And then you wean off the medication and they do splendid. There are certain cases where as they slowly start to wean off the medication, previous behaviors start to happen again, which means that a lot of those behaviors were actually stemming from feeling uncomfortable, and sometimes it could be that chemical imbalance. So even for some dogs, their ability to create in their brain chemistry that comfortable zone may not be attainable on their own. So just like with someone that struggles with depression or anxiety or some other scenario, you may find that for some folks, being on medication long term helps them be the best they can be to their comfort range and their abilities. So no one is a bad person for needing medication, just like no dog is a bad dog for sometimes needing help also. So remember, don't look to it as a last resort, but almost a way to help her feel better, feel safer, and therefore more comfortable even in her own skin. Nice job. So definitely take a peek-see over these pattern games. There's going to be a few others that she might work on later that you might find beneficial too, like the Super Bowls game is another really great one. But Miss M killed it with some of these skills. So then we're going to work a little bit with some other behavior in just a second. So nice job, Miss M. Good girl.